For AP biology or college biology, we're going to be focusing in on Unit 2, cell structure and function, specifically membrane permeability, which is part of Section 2.5. Please note the disclaimer below, and let's get started. When we talk about membrane permeability, we're talking about selective permeability. So what that basically means is that when we have our cell itself, we have this barrier that encloses everything inside the cell. That's the plasma membrane. And if we were to take a small slice of the plasma membrane, we would see this image right here, where we have what's called the phospholipid bilayer, which is spoken about more in detail in previous videos related to Unit 2. But for the purposes of this video, you just need to know that the plasma membrane is this specific opening and that there is an interior and an exterior. So when we talk about the inside of the cell and the outside of the cell, the plasma membrane ensures that only certain substances come in and out of the cell. Now, on the inside of the cell, we call that hydrophobic, which means that it is water-fearing, so it doesn't like H2O. And on the intracellular and exterior side, it is hydrophilic, which means that it's water-loving. Now, the phospholipid bilayer can be embedded with what are called proteins, and they have different functionalities, which were further clarified in the fluid mosaic model and will be further addressed in later units. But for now, you just need to know that selective permeability means that some substances can cross and that we have sometimes these proteins that help assist in transport of these items. And the purpose of the plasma membrane is to protect everything from the inside from everything in the outside of the cell. So when we talk about movement across the membrane, we use the term diffusion. And when we're talking about these proteins and the different types of proteins that exist, we know that certain substances might need a transport protein specifically to cross that barrier. For small items, small nonpolar items such as N2, O2, and CO2, and small water molecules, so really, really small water molecules, they do not require a transport protein. However, if it is polar and charged, they do require a transport protein, and if it is water in large quantities, they do need a transferred protein, and specifically the protein associated with water, large bodies of water, is called an aquaporin. So just as a reminder, if we're talking about water in general and it is small, they don't need a transport protein, but if it is large, it does, and it is associated with the aquaporin, which is a type of transport protein affiliated with water. So let's talk about cell walls. Now, if you remember, animal cells don't have cell walls. This is a picture of a plant cell, and the cell wall provides an extra barrier. It's crucial for the plant cell barrier or for protists, fungi, and bacteria, which have cell walls as well. And the thing is, with these cell walls, they provide an extra set of protection, especially since things like plants need a lot of water. So they need an extra space to hold that water or an extra barrier to hold that water. So that is what cell walls do alongside with the plasma membrane for things other than animal cells. So let's try to do a quick question. Take a moment and read this question, and let's try to figure it out together. Make sure to pause your video and then once completed, unpause your video. Okay, now that you've read the question, let's review together. It says, which of the following best explains why water molecules, despite being polar, requires aquaporins for transport across the membrane in large quantities? Now, we know certain pieces of information that we are given, and you have to deduce based on the information given what the proper answer is to become, or what which one is best to select. So, firstly, we know that aquaporins are associated with water and large bodies of water. And for answer choice A, it says water is too large to pass through the lipid bilayer on its own. And we know that this is false because we did talk about small water molecules and its ability to pass without aquaporins there. So that isn't, in fact, true 100%. B says the polarity of water prevents it from diffusing rapidly through hydrophobic core of the membrane. And if you remember, we have hydrophilic on the outside and then hydrophobic on the inside. And while this is a true statement and that we know that water can be polar, these are two statements that are true, that the core or the internal part is hydrophobic versus the two outsides of the phospholipid bilayer. And we also agree that water is polar. This is not a true statement because it says it prevents it from diffusing. And we know that small water molecules can easily diffuse through that barrier for the plasma membrane. So A and B are not the best choice. For answer choice C, it says aquaporins pump water against its concentration gradient. We didn't talk about concentration gradient, and therefore this would be an invalid reason because of it, but also because water flows based on, yes, concentration gradient, which we'll talk about later, but it doesn't go against its concentration gradient, which makes it a statement that is not quite accurate based on the fact that you were stating that aquaporins do that. They go against the gradient, and aquaporins don't go against the gradient. They're just there to help assist in water making sure they go across that membrane. So that's not the best choice. I'm going to leave that as a maybe when comparing to D. We know that D, B, and A are incorrect, but I'm going to circle that around to a maybe and see if D is a better choice, which says small amounts of water can diffuse through the membrane without transport proteins, but large amounts require aquaporins for faster movement. And in that case, we would agree that that would be the best answer compared to answer choice C. So just remind yourself for AP biology or just any exam related to science, while statements can be true, they have to answer the actual question. And while we might agree that we have a hydrophobic internal part of the plasma membrane compared to hydrophilic outsides, for something like answer choice B, we know that's not the best answer choice because it's not answering what's being asked of us. The other answer choices were rather weak or incorrect or said something that was incorrect. And so that's why we favor D as being the best option compared to all the options provided. So while this question might seem like a direct question and is not involving a lot of critical thinking, it does involve that you use your knowledge based on what we reviewed to come up with the best answer. And that's sort of how AP biology questions are asked, in the way that you have to pick the better of the answer choices. I hope this helps. I hope you subscribe. Make sure to check out our link tree in our bio for products related to AP biology as well. And make sure to stick around. Hey, Geeking Out on STEM family, guess what? We want you to hit that subscribe button. Why? Because we'll be producing more content just like this for the AP Biology exam and the new digital SAT exam. By subscribing, you'll be getting exclusive up-to-date tips, tricks, and secrets for both exams. Also, if you're a parent, a teacher, a homeschool instructor, or a student, you might be looking for affordable and exclusive digital products to help improve multiple choice questions, free response questions, or question bank questions related to both the digital SAT or AP Biology exam. We have them here. Make sure to check out our link tree in our bio for curated resources that you won't find anywhere else. These unique resources are designed to help you raise your score. By hitting the subscribe button, the more subscribers we get, by the way, the more videos we can make. So make sure to join our family to ensure that you get a perfect score for both exams. We can't wait to help you succeed.